Hi there, I'm Andrew Dodds from SimpleStack. We help businesses automate their processes through the use of Airtable and other no-code tools. Today, we are looking at how you can use an Airtable form to update existing data in your Airtable. You heard that right. Forms can be used not just to intake data, but to update existing data in your Airtable without the need for a user license. So, if this sounds interesting to you, let's jump in. Okay, so we are over here in my Airtable base. As you can see here, we have a single table that we're going to call employees, and we're going to treat this as a use case around an employee directory. So the items on this employee table, these are going to be people. So I'll enter a few names here. And these people have information about them that we want to maintain, keep current, and update if needed. For now, and just the simplicity of our video, we will represent that with an email field. Okay. So let's just imagine that when we're onboarding employees, they get an email assigned to them, or they get to choose an email, and that gets updated here in our directory. Okay. All right, so we have a few people. Now what we want to be able to do in this example is allow an employee to update their email if it changes. And think about whatever that is for your use case and base, whatever information you want to update. The rules are the same, the setup is the same. In order to do that, we're going to build a new table called form updates. We're going to start from scratch. This is the table, and we're going to delete all these extra fields they created for us. Who else is really annoyed by that? That's the worst. Just give me a single field to start with. And this is going to be what we build the form off of. So what this is going to have is a linked record field, or a relationship between the employees table and our table here. Okay, so this is basically going to be the record that we're telling it to update, and it's going to fill out based on who fills out the form. Okay, so that's our first item, and then our second item will be an email field, and this will basically be where we capture the new value for what the email should be on the employee record. Okay. We could also use a created date. Airtable makes this available, and this could be helpful, and I'll show you why in a moment. So we'll also get a created date. Okay, so as a new record comes in, you'll get a created date timestamp. Okay. And we've got our employee. So with a linked record, you'll see now this becomes a pick list of my items on the employees table, and an entry of what the email is going to be. And so we're going to turn this into a form. Coming down here to the left-hand side and clicking on form. We're going to create it as a view, not with the new form builder. You can create an interface form as well, but just for the sake of time and clarity, we're just going to use a form view. Okay, and this becomes a form right here. We don't need the name, so I'm going to drag that off. And we do want the employee and the email. And we're going to say update your email. All right. Now we can share this form at this link. So you'll see that if I visit this link, it launches a form for me, where then I could tag who I am and enter my update to my email. And what will happen here is that a record will be created in our view. So you'll see that it's come through here. So we've got Andrew Dodds, here's the new email value, and here's when it was created. Now this first field we're going to call it a form ID. Just as a database best practice, what you want to do is have unique fields. So we're going to use concatenation, and we're going to just format that date And then we're just going to sort of combine some of the information here so that we get a unique string or ID for the form. Okay. So see, now we've got that based on the submission date. Okay. So as new submissions come in for different employees on different dates, we will have a unique value here in the first field. Okay, so now, of course, this update to the email didn't actually change over here, and it was a little manual because I had to select myself from the list and those types of things. So what we're going to leverage now is the ability to pre-fill a form. So we're going to have a unique link for every employee that if they visit it, already knows it's them based on pre-filling the data. And then we're going to automate these two tables together to update information. So first, on the pre-fill, how do you do it? Well, what we want to do is we want to grab the URL, the share link URL. So we're going to copy that. Okay, and then you're going to head back to your employees table. All right, and we're going to find a formula field. Now, underlying every single record that's ever created in Airtable is a 16-string character that's randomly generated. Character string, I should say, that's randomly generated, and it's unique to that record. Now, you can use a formula field and call a function called record ID. So that's record ID with parentheses. And that will show you what the record ID is. And that can be used to dynamically pass information, and that's what we'll be doing now. So we're going to open some brackets here for concatenate, okay? Now we're gonna put in some quotes here the URL for the form, and then we're gonna do $prefill underscore employee, because that's the name of the field on the opposite table that we want to pre-fill, okay? It's called employee. So we're saying pre-fill employee equals record ID. Now this is how we call the record ID, and since we're in a concatenate, this means we're just making a custom URL for ourselves. And you'll see that the result of this is that we get a string, a new URL, where the only difference between these, right, this is the form URL, this is the pre-fill part, is the record ID changes. Now, if we were to visit this pre-fill link, let's say for Brett, I'm going to click on it, you'll see that what comes through is Brett's here. Now, the flaw in this design still is that Brett could accidentally select someone else or see other employees. They could accidentally uncheck themselves, and we want to avoid that as an issue. So there's one last step we're going to take in our pre-fill calculation. So within the parentheses here, we're going to add a comma because that means we're going to add something to the end of this. We're going to add quotes, which means it's text. And we're going to say and, so just also do this thing, and hide underscore the field name, which remember is employee, equals true. Okay? And we go ahead and save that. So you see that now we accidentally removed our record ID. We don't want that. We want the record ID, comma, parentheses, and hide underscore employee equals true. Okay, that's what we want. And then we're going to close the parentheses here because this is the full concatenation. All right, so you see that what that's done is just add that information on the end of our link. So now when we visit this, you'll see that that employee field is no longer visible. However, that record ID we can see has been filled out for that employee field, so we know it's there. One pro tip, when you're pre-filling these forms, maybe before you hide it, make sure it's pre-filling in the way you want, so you can make sure that all of the fields you expect are pre-filled, okay? Now, in this example, we are just allowing them to update their email. It could be any number of fields from your update form table. It doesn't matter. The principles are the exact same. Okay? So now we have this really nice way to collect updates. So let me show you what this would look like. So if Brett visits the form, it knows it's Brett, and he can give some different kind of email. And you'll see that what's happened is in our form update, we now have a Brett record. This is where the automation comes in. Now, if you're new to automations, they are structured if, then, trigger, action. Something happens, what do you want to happen? And there's a variety of steps that you can take, as well as choosing what triggers something. So is it when a record matches conditions? Is it when a record is created? Is it at a scheduled time? Okay, and designing and thinking about the best trigger is an important piece of this. Many of the triggers may be able to actually work, but which one works best? For our example, I want when a record is created. I don't expect that anyone will be creating a record in that form updates table other than through the form. And I like when a record is created as a trigger. So I'm going to use that when a record is created, and we're going to select our table, which is the form updates table. We'll choose a record to test on, and I'm going to choose my record from earlier. And then we are going to do a find records step. So this allows you to go search for a record based on some sort of condition. And what we want to do is we want to search for a record based on what's been submitted. So we want to find the record that is associated with this employee in the employees table. Are you following? Because we're going to update information about that employee. Okay? So we say we're going to find records on the employees table. We're going to search based on a condition. And the condition is going to be where the linked record that came through, remember from that prefill, where that has this record that has come in. Okay, now I know this may not make sense right away. Let me just show you what it's actually doing. Because you'll see if I test this step, that what it's found is my Andrew Dodds in the employee table. And how it's done that is there, whenever you create a linked record field, which we did, remember that's what prefills, there's a mirrored relationship, meaning it shows me the employee record here on the form updates table, and it shows me the form update here on the employee table. These are linked together. I can now search them. Okay, and that's what we've done here with the find record step is we've searched and successfully polled Andrew's employee record based on that relationship from the prefill. So that's key to understand. If you still don't understand, feel free to continue watching, but I would recommend pausing and sort of thinking through it and playing around with it a little bit till you understand how that mirrored relationship works. The final thing we're going to do is we're going to update the record that we found, right? This is an update record step. Again, there are lots of different automation types of actions, but we're going to update that employee record. Now, remember, we can reference previous steps, and what we're referencing here is the found record. The found record was off of the employee table, so we need to mark this as the employee table, and we're going to use that ID. And what are we going to update? Well, the only thing that we're updating in this case is the email. And remember, what originally triggered this was the updated email record that was sent via the form. So that updated value lives in this first step as that email. And so we're going to click that blue plus and drop it in. That makes it dynamic. Okay? Now, this is update email on employee record. All right? And with any automation, you want to toggle it to on. So we've got that. Our system is looking pretty good. Now let me show you this. This is where it gets fun and where it all comes together. I'm going to get rid of our previous form submissions and we're going to watch this work its magic. All right. So Andrew visits his form. And he's updating his email from Andrew at SimpleStack to andrewthomasdodds@gmail.com. This is submitted into the system. Now, what's happened? The employee email just updated to andrewthomasdodds@gmail.com. The link was pre-filled between these two in order to accomplish that. And now we have a record of the submission. So we have successfully used an Airtable form to update existing information. Again, based on your use case, you may want to offer the ability to update more than one field, and you can do that just by mapping the fields in the automation update step. So that's the basics of how to use a form to update your information in Airtable natively with Airtable forms. I'll just make a quick disclosure that there are lots of form tools out there that integrate nicely with Airtable that make it a lot smoother than this, but if you're limited to using what is natively available in Airtable, it is still possible to update data with an Airtable form. And again, I hope that this was valuable for you. If you've got a project and you're stuck, feel free to reach out to us and we're always happy to help. More importantly, I hope that this allows you to solve your challenges or the goals that you're looking to accomplish with right now in Airtable. And I will see you next time.